A toenail clipping?
Okay.
Disgusting. Hello friendly folks of YouTube, it is I, Angelina Mia, and today we will be talking about H2O Just Add Water, specifically Season 1, and this may or may not be the third time I try to film this video. This is the first time, you're never gonna see it, oh well, and here's the second time, and you're also never gonna see that one. Yes. The other times I tried to film this, it just did not come out as I wanted it to. And I want the best for y'all. This is actually going to be the first installment in a 3-part series because, like the theme song says, the best things come in 3. So let's dive right into it. In the first episode, the girls become mermaids, but before we get there, we have to know how did they get into this situation. There's this whole theory that Zane is the reason that the girls became mermaids. But if you think about it, Ricky was the one who took the spark plug, or the piece that was missing from Zane's boat, thus making Zane push Cleo and for her to go off into sea.
Why me? I didn't steal your spark plug.
Because you're here, Cleo!
Ricky was in fact the reason that the girls became mermaids, not Zane. Ricky helps Cleo. And then Ricky, Cleo, and Emma all go to Mako Island, which is supposedly...
It's surrounded by sharks and reefs and mangroves.
Fun fact, Mako Island is not even a real island, and I think this is a good thing. First off, in one of the episodes, Mr. Bennett is trying to make Mako Island into a resort, and Ricky defends Mako Island by saying, no, that would be not good for the island, like for its environment and for that area. And if this was a real island, then that would probably be kind of hypocritical if they made it into a resort. And secondly, I think it would actually be pretty dangerous if it was a real island, because I think young kids who watch this show, or just whoever watches this show, will be like, they became mermaids when they went into the moon pool. So if I go into the moon pool, that means I can become a mermaid. And I think that would lead to a lot of accidents, and that would just not be safe for anyone. Don't lie. If you had the opportunity to be a mermaid, you would take it. I know one of you out there, yeah you, searched up how to become a mermaid, and you stumbled upon this random YouTube video where it gave you this secret magical potion. You followed all the steps, you did everything you needed to do, and then you realize, nothing's happening? And then you cry yourself to sleep because you realize you're never gonna be a mermaid. Not speaking from personal experience. Once the girls get to Mako, they walk around the island, and then Cleo falls. Because she is a clumsy beach. As in B-E-A-C-H. Because we're talking about mermaids in the ocean. Yeah. Then they see the moon pool. They are there for a while because Cleo was very hesitant and scared of going into the water because she couldn't swim. Or at least for now. She eventually goes in, very dramatically if I might add. They're all in the pool, and then the moon pool magic starts happening. The girls then realize they're mermaids. And they have powers. Cleo can manipulate water, Emma can freeze water, and Ricky can boil water. They became mermaids because the moon pool is activated during full moons. And throughout the season, we see different situations that they're put in because of the full moon. Think of full moons as the periods for mermaids, because they're annoying. and get in the way, but you still just gotta get through it, you know? Emma acts weird during a family gathering, Ricky starts a forest fire, and Cleo becomes a siren and somehow brings all the boys in the area to her house. Blackpink in the area. All three of them try to keep this a secret, but in the next episode, Lewis eventually finds out.
Lewis, you have to help me. Don't leave me. I really need your help. Lewis, please.
And speaking of Lewis, the girls don't always treat Lewis very nicely throughout this season and, like, basically throughout the rest of the show. And also throughout this whole series, the girls never tell their family members that they are in fact mermaids. Which makes sense, because if I had a sister like Kim, I would not want her to find out that I was a mermaid.
Why are you always shutting your door?
To keep you out? Did I say come in?
Well, why do you need to keep me out?
Because you're annoying. Goodbye.
Literally. She almost did one time in the episode called Something Fishy. Kim tries to expose Cleo at this beauty pageant, but Cleo is wearing this beautiful, chef's kiss kind of costume of a jellyfish.
I'm a Portuguese man of war. It's a jellyfish.
And you know how much I love jellyfish. See, it's a jellyfish. And then there's a picture of me looking at jellyfish. And I also have a jellyfish necklace on right now.
It's a jellyfish.
I really want to wear this costume for Halloween this year, so please like this video. If this video can get 50 likes, I will be a jellyfish this Halloween. So, like it. Cleo actually uses this costume to her benefit.
Go, Elliot, now!
Judges have to come up with a winner.
Because of the jellyfish top, she is able to move the water out of the way and go like... This reminds me of another episode called Under the Weather. In this episode, it is raining, and because it's raining, the girls pretend to be sick.
It's just a quick dash, Cleo. What's the matter with you?
Miss Keisha. Miss Keisha. Miss Keisha. Oh my fucking god, she fucking dead.
But what I was thinking of is Cleo technically could have moved the water out of the way under an umbrella. But I understand. She probably couldn't do that for all three of them. So they pretend to be sick, right? But in this episode, one of the nurses there is the same person who plays Diva in The Elephant Princess, if any of you have seen it. Both these shows are the same company, so it makes sense. You know what? Forget about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Remember the multiverse of mermaids and other magical things. I could do a video about that. Comment down below if you want me to do that, because I could. But it would be very thorough and take me probably a long time. But comment down below if you want me to do that. Thank you. In the picture that was just up, you can see that it says Dr. Denman in the multiverse of mermaids and other magical things. So, let's talk about Dr. Denman. Dr. Denman is a scientist.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Who is researching about sea creatures and just sea environments. And Lewis wants to use the equipment that she has to do more research on the girls and their abilities. Lewis then gets accepted to help out Dr. Denman. And he does use her equipment, but first he has to acquire the girls' toenails. Yeah, you heard me right. Toenails.
All I need now is a fresh DNA sample. Say, a toenail clipping?
Okay.
Disgusting. He uses that sample to see the girl's powers. But then Dr. Denman sees that little sample and how it's affected by water.
What have we here?
Dr. Denman then takes a little piece of that disgusting, nasty toenail clipping to do her own research. Lewis eventually is able to get that sample, which is good because Dr. Denman then has to go on a different research trip. She does initially invite Lewis to join her, but he declines because he wants to make sure that the girls are safe and that their secret is hidden. And now we move on to the next conflict of this season, but don't forget Dr. Denman. She is important for later. This conflict revolves around Zane and Miss Chatham. Miss Chatham is kind of the girl's wise elder that knows everything about mermaids, because she was one. But the show doesn't necessarily ever say that if she still is or isn't a mermaid. I think she's still a mermaid. Because in season 2, a character named Gracie gives up her powers during a specific eclipse that's going on. But it only happens every 50 years. And that was the last time that event happened. And Miss Chatham wasn't there. So Miss Chatham couldn't have given up her powers, meaning that Miss Chatham is still a mermaid. Yes. In the episode called Shipwreck, we see Zane getting upset at Miss Chatham because her boat scratched or dented his jet ski.
This old bag's boat broke free and hit mine. It put a scratch on my cowling. Look.
I said I'm sorry.
She said she's sorry.
It's not going to pay for the damage, is it?
But he really shouldn't be complaining. He's rich. He can buy another one if he really wanted to. While they're arguing, Miss Chatham faints because she is stressed out because she learned that she's probably going to lose her home.
Why are you doing this?
Now, we've been pretty patient with Miss Chatham over the years. Time has come for us to act.
You can't throw her out.
Oh my fucking god, she fucking dead.
Miss Chatham then leaves, but as she's leaving, cleEeoor's there, and Miss Chatham tells cleEeoor, "Don't let them get my treasure." Zane overhears that, and him being the greedy person he is, he wants that treasure now. Miss Chatham is staying with Emma while she's resting and getting better, but she sneaks out.
Did you miss me?
Because she is a rebel. And then she goes to her boat to try to run away and be able to keep her home. But as she's leaving, she does another rebel move.
That feels better. Like that.
Miss Chatham's just a rebel, you know. I wish I was as rebellious as she was. Zane realizes what happened and he is furious, so he tries to go get Miss Chatham.
What's this? That old bat. She did this.
Zane, you don't know that.
Yes, I do. Right. That's how she wants to play it? She doesn't know who she's messing with.
Zane!
He gets to their boat and then they start arguing again. But as they're arguing, she then faints again.
You've got treasure here, somewhere.
You can't have that.
Can't I? Just watch me.
Lewis and Emma both follow Zane and they save Miss Chatham and take her to shore because she needs medical help. But before they leave, there's an explosion that happens on Miss Chatham's boat, and Zane is still on there.
So much for the treasure.
The boat then starts to sink, and Zane is trapped.
Oh no.
He almost drowns, but Emma saves him. She goes into the water, becomes a mermaid, uses her tail to open the door for Zane to get out. Zane sees this. He doesn't see that it's Emma, but he sees this sea monster. But after that, he just basically goes on this hunt for this mysterious sea monster. Another thing that's going on with Zane is his relationship with Ricky. Yes, we love a good enemies to lovers arc. Prepare yourselves for an overly dramatic and pretty cringy enemies to lovers arc montage. Here you go.
Zane Bennett's a pig. Anything I can do to get under his skin can't be a bad thing, can it? The whole thing about windsurfing around Mako and everything else took guts.
You're the only one who thinks so.
I wish someone would have the hots for me like that, moron or not.
Don't worry, Theo. Someday someone will find you attractive. It'll come when you least expect it. Bit like zits.
Ricky. Are you okay?
No one understands.
I know exactly how that feels. Ricky? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Great. This is just perfect.
You're the one who asked me up here. What's wrong?
Nothing.
You're not going to turn into a vampire or something, are you?
Sorry to interrupt, but, he isn't. But a couple of your friends are gonna be, aka Vampire Diaries, Originals, all that fun stuff. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Are you scared of heights or something? It's okay. Everyone's scared of something. Here,
No.
trust
No,
me.
I can't.
Trust me. Trust me. Pretend I'm a painting or something you admire.
A painting.
Or a speedboat or some stupid car. Something that makes you happy. Feeling better?
Yeah. Thanks. Looks like it's gonna rain. Do you want this?
Thanks. I don't want to get wet.
What's wrong with you, Zane? I wait all afternoon for my notes. You don't turn up at the seminar and the hotel staff hand me these.
We were trying to get someone's attention.
By ruining my notes.
It wasn't like that.
I wasn't talking to you, and don't lie. Honestly, if you have to waste time with a girl, at least pick one with a future. Like one of those down at the seminar.
Her name is Ricky. And she was one of the girls at the seminar, only smarter. She didn't fall for it. And by the way, I'm not your errand boy, so stop treating me like one.
I'd like to say it was nice to meet you, but that would be a lie.
Ricky, wait. You've still got my jacket.
Was that cringe? Yes. Was it necessary to the story? Yes. So, deal with it. Zane is still on this hunt for this sea monster, so he goes back to the shipwreck where it all happened. Zane and Nate go together, but Nate chickens out. As Zane is searching under the water, he sees a mermaid with red hair. And he's wondering, that's a mermaid. Who is this? That mermaid is actually Emma, because in the episode, Miss Chatham talks about how there are pictures of her when she was younger as a mermaid, and the girls don't want Zane to see that. And also in that episode, Emma dyes her hair red because she wants to be different and quirky and not like other girls, but her hair only turns red when she is in her mermaid form. So Zane sees this mermaid with red hair, and after he sees it, he goes to the Juice Net Cafe and tries to tell everyone and say, I saw a mermaid. All the girls are there, and they are trying to gaslight Zane.
Zane, I think the oxygen got cut off to your brain.
Gonna be honest, there's quite a lot of gaslighting in this show. Like a lot. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. But we'll get more into that next video. Ricky then takes Zane outside to talk to him and says that she will in fact become his girlfriend.
I want to go out with you. But the mermaid talk stops. Look, I like you. Don't ask me why, because I have no idea, but I do.
No mermaids.
That's the deal. Take it or leave it.
Okay.
So they are now officially together. But on one condition, that he has to stop talking about sea monsters and mermaids and all of that. Let's just say that promise gets broken later on. Another relationship that's going on right now is between Cleo and Lewis. Cleo and Lewis go on a little date together. They go swimming around and then they end up at the moon pool. Lewis draws this heart in the sand, and he draws that same heart again in a pile of sugar or salt or whatever at the Juice Net Cafe. First off, unsanitary. Wow. Disgusting. Again. So he draws this on the table, and a certain someone sees both of these.
Sorry for the interruption.
Because Dr. Denman is back in town.
Lewis?
Dr. Denman?
That sounds like a song. Dr. Denman's back in town. Better be worried because things are gonna go down. Dr. Denman and her team go to the moon pool and they see that heart in the sand.
Weird place for a date.
Really weird.
And they also find a scale. They go back to their boat to do research. And Dr. Denman says the iconic line,
We just add water. It's
It's amazing. Its entire cellular makeup has changed on contact with water.
Oh, that's impossible. I've never seen anything like it.
I have.
And she sees the scale transform, just like the sample from before. She then goes to find Lewis, and she goes to the juice net, sees that Lewis drew the heart, and she makes the connection. She obviously doesn't tell Lewis about this, but she knows something's up. She's actually back in town because her and Mr. Bennett, who is Zane's father, are working together because Mr. Bennett wants to build a resort on Mako Island. And she's there to oversee the project and make sure the environment and like the sea life is okay because she's a scientist. Says the girl who barely passed chemistry. Dr. Denman and her team actually set up cameras around Mako Island and around the underwater entrance of the moon pool. With these cameras, they can get live footage of what's going on, and the girls don't know about this yet. While Dr. Denman, Mr. Bennett, and Zane are talking, there is movement that happens on the camera. They first get a picture of the mermaids swimming, but they don't see the faces of them yet. Zane now has proof to say that mermaids are real, so then he goes to tell Ricky. But after he leaves, there's another picture that comes up, which is of the three girls, Cleo, Ricky, and Emma. You can all see their faces clearly. Mr. Bennett obviously knows the girls, and he's like, we don't want any harm to be done to these girls. And Dr. Denman's like,
yeah, okay.
But we will be stalking them.
Cleo, Ricky, and Emma, they're all worried about this situation, and they also talk to Miss Chatham about it. Miss Chatham tells the girls that during a lunar eclipse that they can actually lose their powers. You'll understand why I did that. Dr. Denman's spies get Lewis and bring him onto the boat that they've been located. Dr. Denman then shows Lewis the pictures of the girls as mermaids.
What, this? Oh, it's a fake.
And Lewis really played the Andrew Garfield card right there.
I heard about it. And I did see it. And it's a Photoshop.
Then you see all the Spider-Men together. All the Spider-Men and all the mermaids. It's not a Photoshop. It's not a Photoshop. Wow. There's quite a lot of connection with the MCU and the mermaid multiverse. Who would have known? Dr. Denman then takes Lewis's phone so that she can use it to contact the girls. And she basically kidnaps Lewis and makes him stay on her boat. She uses the phone to lure the girls into Mako Island, which they do, and then they're trapped. They're stuck there with all the scientists and Dr. Denman seeing them as mermaids. And then Mr. Bennett and Zane get there.
Extraordinary.
What is this? Ricky?
Zane finds out. And I honestly thought that he was gonna have a bigger reaction than this. But like, if I found out my significant other was a mermaid, I'd be like, what? Why didn't you tell me sooner? And also, like, how can I be one? Can I please just be a mermaid already? Zane sees Ricky and is shocked, and he's like, what? And he finally figures out that this whole situation is just not right. So he goes to save Lewis. Him and Lewis come back and also save the girls.
What was that?
That was the sound of goodbye.
even though they all escape, the girls realize that Dr. Denman and all these scientists aren't gonna leave them alone because they're still mermaids. So they make the decision to give up their powers. They go back to the moon pool, and Dr. Denman and everyone else is there. And they jump into the water while the lunar eclipse is going, and they give it all up.
It's time. We're giving our powers up. When we enter the water, we're giving up everything.
But why would you give up being mermaids?
Because of people like you. There will always be people like you trying to exploit us. The only thing left to do is to give this all up.
No, you can't.
Yes, we can.
Please, if we work together.
Not interested.
It's over. Why don't you just go home?
They give it all up, and then they go home, and the scientists leave it as is. But also, like, if you were a scientist, wouldn't you still be interested in that whole place? I guess too much drama, even for me. Ricky and Zane also break up, but I wouldn't say it was on, like, bad terms. It was just too complicated, so I understand. After that, Ricky goes to the beach to just enjoy the water and go back to being just a regular girl. Psych. They're all mermaids still. They all go to Emma's house, and they're all like, "What? We still have our powers?" Lewis comes along, and he's like, "Yeah, you only lose your powers for 12 hours. And then the season ends by no other way than treating Lewis like trash.
Next time we better remember who his friends are. Leave him up there for a couple of hours.
No, don't you listen to her, Cleo.
Yeah. No one messes with mermaids.
This will haunt them in the future. If you know, you know. Well, that is the end of this first installment, so stick around for the second installment, where we go in depth about a specific redhead. Subscribe so that you can stay tuned for the next installments, and don't forget to like, because I really want to have that jellyfish costume this Halloween. So, please, and thank you. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Have a day. Bye. Then Lewis really pulls an Andrew Garfield right there. That doesn't sound right.